So, another story for you. Like I said, you don't have to watch all my videos. Just look at the titles, pick and choose the ones you want to watch and the ones you don't want to watch. My father, God rest his soul, may rest in peace. He bought a townhouse in Staten Island. It's beautiful. It was like 3 levels, and it was a gorgeous, gorgeous townhouse. Everything modern, modern everything, modern kitchen. The bedrooms were big. It had everything. It had a garage. It had everything in it. It was like it was like a regular house. It really was, but they call it a townhouse because I mean technically you don't really have a backyard. That's the bummer. You have like a little space where you could put like maybe a little grill in the front, but the townhouse itself had a lot of square footage. It was a very, very comfortable place to live. So my father more or less bought it as an investment because he inherited my grandmother's house, which was on Benson Avenue. Which my grandmother, she paid like 40,000 for this house. When my father sold it, he sold it for about over 1 million. But that was not the ape father's money. That was my father's money. May he rest in peace. And he spent it. He spent a lot of it. But I'll leave that for another story. But anyway, so the thing was, my my father was temporarily going to live in this townhouse because he was in the process of, it was a whole process, of he was the guardian of my grandmother. My grandmother had a stroke, God bless her. And he was just in the process of selling his house. We had a house on West 12th Street. It was on Avenue U, and he was selling his house, and he was in the process of moving into my grandmother's house. So he wanted to temporarily live in the townhouse in Staten Island, right? So long story short, we're living there. Our next door neighbor tells us that there's a cemetery. See, my father didn't know this. That you go through the woods, maybe not too far. There's a cemetery. So that just freaked my father out. It just freaked him out. He's like, I can't believe this, because like the realtor that he bought the house from didn't tell him there was a cemetery, like in the woods. It was literally like if you walked just a little bit into the woods, you could see the whole cemetery. You could see all the tombstones, right? It was out of like the movie Poltergeist, right? So it totally freaked my father out, right? But now to add, insult to injury, they tell us that there's psychopathic people that live in the neighborhoods that they think they're pagans. And I'm like, what are you talking about, pagans? Like they're literally like psychos, man. They're like almost look like the KKK. They're like the sheets on them, and apparently they were sacrificing this crazy animals, like satanic, like devil shit, terrible, right? So that was all my father needed. He's like, I'm out of here. I think he went to a hotel for 2 weeks until everything was finalized. He goes, you could stay here, Rich. I'm out. So how it turned out was he just kept the house as an investment, but he allowed me to live in it for free, of course. Thank God. God bless you, Dad. I love you. And he was living in my grandmother's house on Benson Avenue. So my mom and my dad lived in Brooklyn. I was the king, right? I was, what was I? Don't know. I was like 19, 20 years old or something like that. I was like into maybe 21, 22 years old. I lived there until ultimately he sold the house, right? So my friends, they're all ball breakers, like the haters. You know how the haters like to break the ape father's balls? Okay. So my friends, they found out, so like I was telling them, I'm like, look, there's these psychopathic people, there's a cemetery, they're sacrificing animals, they're like the KKK. So, one night, now I was dating Jennifer. So Jennifer was with me at the house, at the townhouse. And my friends, right, they dressed up like the KKK. They put like these like masks on, and they actually brought a fan. I don't know how they did this, and I don't know where they plugged it in, but they had this fan, and it made them look like they were ghosts. You understand? Like they were flying in the air, and they were making sounds, ooh, ooh, right? So obviously, I didn't know that these were my friends. I'm thinking it's those pagans, Right? I'm thinking this. I was telling Jennifer, these are these crazy mother effers that are sacrificing the animals out in the woods by the cemetery. So she's freaking out. So we had like a little terrace. I went outside. I had like a Louisville Slugger, like a bat. I said, "I'll break your faces in." Right? They're like, "Ooh." So I jet downstairs. I opened up the door with the bat. They take off. I'm running after them, but they got away. So, years and years later, my friends admitted that it was them the whole time. They had me shitting my pants. I literally thought that like I had these devil worshippers coming to my house every night, and they did it a few times. By the way, it wasn't just one time they did it. Man, my friends were ball breakers.